Welcome to So Guided, a spiritual travel guide for the curious.
Join us as we dive into the mystical, high-vibe ways we can connect to the universe and ourselves. We are trying anything and everything woo-woo. Whatever the result, mind-blowing, unbelievable, or hilarious, we promise to share in truth.
Ready to explore? Suspend disbelief and let's discover the mysterious together.
Hello and welcome to another episode of So Guided. We are back. Thank you for bearing with us. It's been a little bit, but we're going to explain where we were, what we were doing, and why we hope we're back and better than ever back in the flow with you guys. And we're kicking off the second part of our season with something that we've wanted to talk about for a very long time, spirit animals. And we realized that we not only were going to do a before and after and have someone figure out what our spirit animal is, but also talk about a list of ways that spirit animals impact our lives. So buckle up. This is a classic before and after with a twist on a list. And we're so happy to be back. Thanks for joining us. You've got questions. So do we. Let's do this.
Hello, this is Jenny.
Hi, it's Carissa. Welcome to another episode of So Guided.
We are back. We thank you for your patience. It has been a hot minute, but we have a cool story behind it. And it's actually going to be our woo-woo.
Yeah, a joint woo-woo.
A joint woo-woo, if you will. So sometimes, guys, a sign is when something bad happens, something that you could have perceived as bad, something that's disruptive or stops you in your tracks. Sometimes those very things are the sign that you need to reevaluate and go another direction. And quite frankly, that's what happened to us. So in full transparency, in our busy lives and our podcasts, we love our podcasts, we love our topics, we love you, but we get so busy with momming and working that we got lazy. We got lazy outlining, we got lazy researching, and we just would schedule dates to podcast and record, and we didn't put the work in, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't loving it. I actually feel like we were talking and we were kind of just going on and on.
We were going on and on.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like we weren't in the flow.
We weren't in the flow.
We can feel when we're in the flow. Mm-hmm. And I think you guys can probably feel when we're in the flow too. Yes. And I think most of our season 1, we were in the flow. And we were in full belief, but we've taken time. And as we were going along in a couple episodes that you'll never hear because we cut them, we were almost like trying and it wasn't working. We were just going through the motions instead of actually feeling the support of the universe.
So for the story goes is that we were both feeling this quietly on the other side, but continuing recording and squeezing it in. And I just had this oh gosh, such a strong feeling in me that something's off. Something isn't right. I'm not vibing myself.
Yeah.
And even the flow or our own connection. And that was one of our tippy top goals is authenticity and that we're in the flow. So we're not just talking out our ass to you guys.
Right.
And that it's coming from a place of realness and real question and real curious. Anywho, wasn't feeling it. You were quietly not feeling it.
Yep.
And everything blew up. So one day we got a really weird message from the company that's been editing and handling every part of our podcast for the majority of our season 1 and most of all of season 2 until now. And they had a shakeup where there was a new owner. It went from being a female-owned and operated company, which we loved, to a man as the CEO. And listen, nothing against men, but that was the sales pitch. So something felt misaligned and off.
Yep.
And then they were randomly delinquent in our 3rd episode. Come to find out.
And they were sending the weirdest email messages, group emails that didn't even pertain to us. And wrong, asking for money.
Yes.
That we didn't owe. And we're what is happening? And we were ready for episode 3 to go live. And all of a sudden, Jenny's like, hey, our episode's not live. And we're at first what the heck?
We were
why?
upset.
We're pissed. Yeah.
Really pissed. And this will be a shout out to our sound editor because she's a part of our woo-woo.
Yep.
We have someone we've gotten really close with that company who edits just the sound portion of our show. And we ended up getting a message that she left the company. and we will keep her side of the story in her world. But let's just say that we all parted ways with the company. And at first we were so upset. It was sad. You're not supposed to start a season and stop. So the algorithm in the world tells us we're wrong.
Yeah.
But we knew in our heart and soul that this was for a reason. When I came out with it and started telling Krista that I didn't like what we were doing, it didn't feel right, she said, me too.
And all of a sudden we took like a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
And like, instead of being so mad, we're like, oh my God, this is a gift.
This is a
like,
gift.
This is a gift. This is a reset. This is like a sign from the universe to recalibrate and get back in the flow.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have taken this pause and we've basically reassessed the episodes we had already recorded, like what worked, what didn't. And we had just got back to like why we're doing this, the passion that we have behind learning and understanding and the curious experiences we have. And all of a sudden we're like, dude, we're back in it.
We're back.
We're back.
And we're in the flow.
We're in the flow.
I feel it.
We're in the flow. We are. We're in the flow.
Yeah.
And it was a classic example of how like you automatically think something's like bad, and it's like you take it as like, oh, this sucks. This is so annoying. It's so frustrating. And then like when we looked at it from a different perspective and turned it around, we're like, this is such a sign and one of the best things that could have happened for us and for the podcast.
We love it. It redirected us and rechecked a lot. Did you just notice, P.S., that our intro is us? Of the things we needed to reassess was, what was this dude's voice talking about us? So among the things we switched, and also we had mentioned the awesome sound editor with that company. The coolest thing is she's gone on her own. I'm guessing in her world, that was a sign in her world too, but whatever the case, we're together.
And she's still working with us, and that's who we love so much from the company.
That was who we love most. So anyway, I feel like you're going to feel a different energy right now than what you felt from our first 2 episodes. We thank you for your patience, but we really, really, really wanted to make sure that we emphasize how awesome it is when something feels wrong and something goes wrong, that sometimes it's totally the right thing to guide you where you need to be. And I couldn't feel it stronger about this.
Yeah, and sometimes the bump in the road is actually the universe protecting you and redirecting.
Yeah.
So that's what this is what we're taking this as.
It's a woo-woo.
It's a joint woo-woo. And so we're back, people.
We're back.
And today we're actually talking about something that we've talked about a million times off podcast because we're so interested in it, and we're doing something a little different today. We're going to talk about our take on spirit animals. So we actually created our own list, and so we're going to talk to you guys about like what spirit animals mean to us, how they come to us, what they are, and fun, we're actually kind of doing a mishmash of an episode because we're also going to, after we talk about this, go have an experience where we're going to professional to find our spirit animal.
So excited.
So it's our first ever list we created.
With
a before and after.
Mm-hmm. That's so exciting. All right. So exciting. So let's start, first of all. Sometimes I think we skip ahead on what we think that everyone knows. So let's just be clear. What's a spirit animal? Well, it's we're going to, for the purpose of today, make it a generic dumping zone for any signs around animals. Animals are giving us messages all the time, and you're going to hear when we get into our list where we think they show up and how they show up and who they are. But the biggest thing is, like, animals are such a beautiful, amazing part of our life. My guess is you have an affinity for an animal as a listener. Like, I don't know, is yours a ladybug? Is it every time you see a ladybug? That's been my sister's her whole life. I bet she's never thought of the term spirit animal. Yes, bugs can be animals.
Yeah.
But it's something that keeps presenting itself in your life. It could be a new one, a long-term one, but they're coming with messages. There's a million ways they show up. Within this, we think it's included is our soulmate pets, like an animal you had and them coming. It includes messages from loved ones. It's so many beautiful ways that animals present in our life as a way to connecting to the universe.
Exactly. So as we're talking about this today, we put together, I think one of the things you talked about first is that we look at spirit animals as soulmates. In our first kind of thought about this, have you had a dog that you feel like connects with you, that you feel like you've known from another lifetime, that you feel like is meant to be part of your family? We both have.
Yep.
Like that you love beyond anything and you feel like they are literally part of your soul family. Like those animals can be like soulmates. And I feel like those
pets.
soulmate pets, I feel like is a version of a spirit animal.
Absolutely.
And so I think about like my last dog, Capri, and she was 13 years old when she passed away, and we got her as a puppy. And I cannot tell you how many times I thought like this dog was literally like reading my mind and was there to support me and to be with me. And I've told Jenny this before. She was so supportive of me and we had such a connection that she was pretty sick and pretty old. Like 13 is pretty old for like a dog, but she was probably at like 10 or 11. She had seizures her whole life. So like I felt like older even sooner than she needed to be. And I swear she, to this day, I believe, stayed alive longer and stayed along for 2 years to support me when I was going through like my grief and the loss of the baby, because that dog would sit with me and like comfort me. And I swear she wasn't just like connecting with me and being like how dogs can read emotion. I swear she knew what was going on and she was there. And I would like look at her and I would feel her and she had this support. And I used to be like, oh my God, thank God for Capri, because she was there every second for me. And she was truly like one of my soulmates.
Well, it's amazing with the animals, especially in times of trauma or sadness. Like, gosh, they can read us. Well, they read energy. But like what you said is true. I think it's more than that. And that's what I think we're digging into. Yeah, okay, animals sense your feelings. We know this. But it's a step deeper than that. They're on our like wave of consciousness or something. But also, they are little souls that I don't know. Have you ever just gotten an animal or seen an animal like that you just felt you knew them before? Like there's a comfort immediately.
Oh, yeah.
The same way like the day I met you and I'm like, we were Insta friends, just add water.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like that for animals. And it's easier to love an animal. So I feel like people would relate to this even more than soulmate people is soulmate pets.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be a pet too, even, right? Like I hear a lot of stories about horses. Horses people have deep connections to, and their soulful eyes, or an elephant that you see, you know, like it literally could be an animal in your life. So for this category that we're talking about animals that are physically here, but their souls are the connection point. And it might have been more than one life. My last doggy, Cooper, it's interesting because kind of my story also relates to babies, but in a different way. But I had a really hard time getting pregnant, and that was a real ache and hardness in my life. It took me, 4 years of fertility to have my babies. And one time that was particularly really, really devastating. I remember I checked the results. I was in my office and Cooper was in there with me. It was one of those moments of complete grief where I just thought I was never going to have a baby. And I remember crying from the depths of my heart in almost a very sad, soulful moment. And Cooper came and put his little face cheek to cheek with me and just howled with me, just went, oh my gosh. And I've never felt so seen and held in my life. Yeah. That same animal, so fast forward, yay, the miracle happened and I had my baby twins. But when I was pregnant with them, unbeknownst to me, and I felt nothing. I felt nothing this day, but I woke up a normal day, a normal work day. I went to go in the shower. Nothing feels wrong. And Cooper got in the shower with me. This dog hates water, is afraid of water, doesn't want to be wet, crawled up on the floor of my shower and curled at my feet. And I thought, what the heck is going on in the full stream of the shower? And later that day, I had a doctor's appointment. They did a fetal heart monitor, and Oliver was actually having a bradycardia inside of me, which his heart rate was dipping and I was losing him. And Cooper knew it. All day he was like trying to nudge me and give me signs. And the biggest one of all was he was in the shower. Yeah. But listen, we've told kind of like dark ones. They're like, they give us their own signs when they're here, but they're pretty magical creatures.
Well, and I think that is like an amazing example of like how that goes beyond just like a dog that you love, because you still love your dog, but like that is like a true soul connection and you feel that. And like I have a new puppy now and I love her and she's adorable and she's such she's a frisky little like goose, but I don't think she's my soulmate. It's not anything that I love her less, but I really feel like there is a certain soul connection that you know that you have with certain animals.
I totally get that.
And I feel like they show it to you, and I feel like they give it back to you. And again, like my dog now is so loyal and so sweet and loves me so much, and she's such a snuggly, but I don't think it's the same.
Oh, that's interesting. That's actually, I love your honesty on that, because I feel like people wouldn't admit that.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing. Likewise with Millie, I think she's a soulmate to my family, not me.
Ooh,
and that might be the difference. So like we had our dogs pre-kids, right?
Yep.
So like Cooper was like Brian and I. We got that dog, and like so that was like soulmate for us and felt very personal. Millie, who I adore, is a snuggle fest sweetheart. Like literally I post a million pictures of her, darling cutie patootie, just like Feather. but I feel like she's more for my whole family, and it's a different connection.
That's so interesting.
But wouldn't that be likewise? Like, why would their souls and our connection to them be any different than someone we love that's a human?
Right.
Think about that.
Well, you love humans, but not every human is your soulmate. You know what I'm saying?
Like you love them for different reasons in different capacities. Right.
Right.
Okay.
I love it. I love it. So that's our first version of animals as like a spirit. Let's go on. Are you ready to go on to our second?
I'm ready. Thank you for asking.
All right. So this is where we think that spirit animals come through as signs from loved ones. Mm-hmm. So one of the things for me that I have been told by a psychic before, and this is before we even started the podcast years and years ago, is that my grandma will send deer to like remind me that she's there and to show that she like loves me. And so I've always seen and noticed deer and connected with that. Right. Like, so that's one that like makes a lot of sense to me.
I would say I know a lot of people connect like a red cardinal to someone who passed. So that would be an example with this one. And it's
butterflies.
Butterflies.
Is a huge one that
that's huge. So
that people see.
That's right.
Dragonflies is another one.
Dragonflies is huge. The butterflies. There's a cool story with my husband, Brian. He actually fringe into this stuff, not totally sold, but when he lost one of his best friends and really had a hard time grieving him. It was a very premature death. And he started to run, and he hadn't been running for a while. And that had been one of his connections with his friend. His friend had been a runner. So not only is running like important to Brian for healing, but it was a connection between the two of them. His friend was an avid runner. So he went to run to like go think about him. And on the first run he did after he passed away, where it was like his grief run for his friend. At the same moment, a beautiful song came on he had never heard about losing someone. An entire grouping of butterflies, he said hundreds, surrounded him.
Oh my God, hundreds?
Hundreds. And he said, and ran with him in a pack. And he said it lasted for a good like 2 minutes-ish, which if you imagine,
oh my God, it seems like that's like eternity.
While the song was on. And he said, as much as he like will believe or disbelieve this stuff when we talk about it, there's nothing that could determine in his mind that wasn't his best friend.
Oh my God. That's also the key. Again, when it comes through from a loved one, you know that animal is being sent from a loved one. Like it's again, it's not like the fact that he is unquestionable.
Yep.
You know it's real.
Agreed. I think that's one of the biggest things actually of all of these. And anytime we talk about signs generically, I can't say enough how many times people have told us a story and do the disclaimer of, I don't know. Guess what?
You do.
If you want to tell me the story, by the way, it's real.
Yeah, exactly.
And anytime like you do, it's real.
It's so
if
true.
you think it's real, it is. Don't question it.
Right.
Let's stop playing that game.
Right.
It's real.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Anyway, love that one.
You had another good one. I don't know if you want to share that.
Oh, I will. It's my friend's story, and I'm kind of embarrassed because it equals like a little psychic moment on my behalf. But one of my besties had come to visit me, and she had listened to a season 1 episode, and she was sitting in my house, and we were talking stories about cool, weird, woo-woo stuff. And she was saying, Jenny, I don't know why my grandma never like shows herself to me. Like if this stuff is real, we were so close. Wouldn't she show herself? This is the funny part. We were in a part of the podcast where I was so in the flow, in the energy of the universe, that weird psychic stuff was happening around me. It doesn't as much anymore, but I had like really in tune moments. All right, so back into this moment. So she's saying, why is my grandma not showing herself? And out of the blue, I go, she could show yourself in a million ways that your eyes are not open to. That's the big part, is that your eyes are not open to. I said, what if she's like an orange robin in your window? Guys, she stopped talking and was like, what? You have no idea, Jenny. We just for Christmas got a bird feeder that sits on our window, and my daughter and I are obsessed with it. And there is an orange robin that comes every day. And the attention to this bird it's such an unusual like encounter that she had pictures in her phone and goes, look at this. And I'm like, well, that's your grandma. But she needed the message from me to believe it, by the way.
Right. I love that story. And it's so random too, because it's not just like a regular robin.
No,
it was like a specific color, and the fact that like she has pictures of it. And the second you said it, I'm sure she had like the full body chills where she was like, oh my God, it makes so much sense. And the fact that she pulled out her phone. Yeah. So I like the fact that we can be open and know that they are sending us these animals. And like they've said, like in the signs that we've like talked about, like animals are so connected to the universe that loved ones have an easier time of like connecting with animals to then give you the message.
Totally.
So That's great. Are you ready for the next one? Why don't you
Yeah,
take this
I
one?
know why you want me to say it, because this is the one we're least understanding of.
Right.
So the third one is animals in the form of spirit guides. So this is something more like, if you go look on the internet of animal spirit guides is kind of the terminology. This idea is more of an animal you have not physically been in contact with as much as us. When we came into this life and we chose our guides and the people we were with, this is another guide that chose us. And they'll come in and out of our life at times we need them. And they come in the form of a million forms, all the ones we're talking about. But this is very specifically a guide on the other side in the form of an animal. And it could present in a million ways. And it doesn't have to be physical. It could be, a cartoon character in a book too, by the way. But it's when you need it, this animal comes and it's a guide. It's a guide for our life. Now, the reason that we're giggling about this one, we decided that we would kind of wait to dig in till after our experience we're about to do. And it's related to this. And we need to learn more. But it's relating an animal to a guide in our life.
Right. And it's not like a one like we're like, oh, I saw a deer, so I feel like the deer is a spirit animal. Now, when we're going to this lady to tell us our spirit animal guide, like, of course, I would automatically think it's going to be a deer because of my connection, but it may not be. And I think like this is one of those interesting ones where I believe that we do have these animals as guides, and like their energy can help us like tap into whether we need bravery or whether we need intuition. And like I think about my daughter, who has, since she's been a little girl, has been connected to owls and has talked about owls, and she says that an owl is her spirit guide, and she's said this and she's been like 2 years old, and like we've seen it, and like so she knows it, like she knows it so much that like my son, like Van, will be like, oh, Fiona's spirit guide, and like he's known it since he's been a baby. And so it's like I'm like, oh, she must have chosen an owl before she even came through, and like knows that is her guide. So I feel like I'm excited to learn more about this one.
Right. I think this one, if I'm to get away from like going and finding out what, the internet has to say, or even the expert, if I check in with what my answer is, it's really an animal that like chose to be with us, to give us cheerleading, to give us all the messages, good and bad, but like, and they're for purpose. So like maybe in a time, of evolution in your life, a certain animal could come and go and they were there for that moment, or it could be for a whole lifetime.
Right.
And I really do think that's it. I have a few that have come in and out. You guys know one of mine is Egret. And for me, I so badly want to find out that Egret is one of them from a person who's reading me, but that's,
you don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and it doesn't have to be just one.
Right.
Like we may have more than one.
Right.
I was kind of shocked, and we laugh about this story, but when we had gone to one of our shaman experiences, the woman had like read me and had said that she saw a unicorn with me. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like asking afterwards, like, what does that mean? And she was like, oh, you have a unicorn, you have unicorn energy. She's like, it's very rare. It's like, it's magic, it's playfulness. It's like, open your wide eye, like magical unicorn. And like, when we listened to this, we laughed this day because we're like, oh my God, this is unicorn status. Because now we're believing that a unicorn like walks with me and exists. And it's like so wild. We're like, oh my God, this is where we're at now. Like unicorn status is like insane. She had seen that animal with me, who I love unicorns. I've always loved unicorns, but never prior to that. And even now still, it's a far-fetched one that I want to believe, but it's way out there. But never had I thought like a unicorn could be a spirit animal that is like supporting me. And again, when I need to tap into that like child joy, like go to my unicorn animal.
I think this is so fun. Yeah. And we got unicorn status out of it. But also like I saw when I looked up list of like examples of spirit animals, dragon and unicorns were on it.
Oh, really?
So that's mystical. Cool. Why can't mystical be on the list? Because it does show itself somehow.
Oh, you do see people talking about like dragon energy and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So I like that. Yeah, I think that's all right.
Expanding our thoughts.
But one thing I'd say is like, so I feel like a lot, you might have an animal that you've been drawn to your whole life, and you haven't thought of it in this way. So if you reframe it like, yeah, I've always been into bunnies. What does that actually mean? And when did they pop up for me? Like I'm asking you who are listening, like reanalyze the animal that you've always been drawn to and reframe it. If that is your spirit animal, what does that mean now?
Yeah.
Like literally look back. So what my example of egret is, and so by the way, it doesn't need to be lifelong. I had no affinity for egrets. And in a time of great transition, when I had left a house, I had nowhere to live. I was in between. I was feeling broken on multiple pieces of my life. It was a time of the past trauma had reared its ugly head, and I really felt broken. In the house I lived at flew in an egret with a broken wing, and it was hurting. And I was so upset watching this wounded animal outside the house. And we went down to get close to it, and everyone's like, oh, we should probably not get that close. So we walked back inside, and I couldn't stop thinking about the egret. And when I looked out the window, it was gone. And then a day later, that egret with the broken wing was back. And I couldn't handle it. At this point, I put on Instagram, wildlife, does anyone have contacts? I called people. I was like, I'm going to help this animal. And I remember I had a weird movie-like drama moment, cue the soundtrack. Yeah. And pretty music played. And I walked down to where the egret was. It let me get as close as you and I, which is about a foot apart. And there was an energy exchange I cannot explain. And I don't even know if I'm making this up, but I swear to goodness, we had an exchange of energy. And the next day it flew away and was it looked to be healed. And I don't know how to explain this situation. And it didn't come back again after its couple days of visits. But after that, egrets became a great source of beauty. And I have no doubt I took that broken wing, the broken me, and the flying. And that was when we were working on our podcast. Yep. And part of the podcast really healed me because we were, discovering spirit. And I think that was partially a sign of my spiritual awakening, is that from the broken, I became born again and free and could fly. And I'm going dark on this one, or deep on this one, or long on this one, because this is probably one of the most potent parts of my whole spiritual awakening, was this moment with an egret. And now egrets are my sign. I will see them in the dead of winter flying over my house, and it doesn't make sense because they should have gone down south for the winter. I was just at my sister's in Connecticut, which is landlocked, in the snowy winter, and an egret flew over the highway. And I'm like, why is there an egret here? And I had a day where I was asking for a sign. They will be my forever sign, and I feel connected for the rest of my life.
I feel like that is such a soul contract you had with that egret. How you said that spirit guides or spirit animals, as part of our guide, just something you decide before you come here. I feel like that you and that egret made a pact that when you needed it, when you needed to be reminded, that's why it came at that time. And now you're obsessed with them. I got you a pillow with egrets on it. You have them all over your house. It's definitely become, it's definitely a thing. But it's a thing, for a valid reason, especially if you decided before you were even born that this is going to be something and it's going to shed light on so much. Right. So that is 100% a way to look at a spirit guide. Right. And it doesn't have to be that profound. No. But it's so neat that it is.
No, that one was. And I do. Like I said, I think this connects to kind of the awakening to spirit. And then come to find out, when you Google, egrets are a sign of spirit, by the way.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
awakening.
Yeah.
So that one in particular, like you said, that's a dramatic. But I think I was searching for answers in the world, so I was looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a big one. And this is the one. So very specifically, when we go to get our readings, this woman is going to identify the one that chose us to be our guide for life.
Right.
So this is this category of what we'll find out.
Right. So are you super hopeful it's an egret?
Good Lord. This lady's just...
I know.
Sorry.
Because here's the thing. We want the validation. She's legit. The validation. So if she does an egret, we will all be out of control. Or a deer for me. If the deer, I've got so many deer signs.
We will lose it if it's our chosen signs that we love. However, I'm trying to be open-minded too, that from what I've gathered from my research is that we have various ones that come and go. Like egret wouldn't have been my sign 5 years ago, and I'd be like, what?
Right.
So maybe we get a new intro to an animal we're supposed to have. And that's how I'm going into it. Otherwise, this lady's set up for failure.
No, right. Well, we are open-minded 100% too. And I think she'll show, I'm expecting her to share insight about this animal. So one of I think that category or that way is probably what we don't know as much. We know how special animals are, but we'll be able to see what she shares, which will be great.
I love it.
But how else? All right, let's continue on with the list. So the next one on our list that animals come to us is to show us that we are on the right path.
Totally. And the exact example of that is the egret. Okay, identified spirit guide. But now when I see an egret in the sky in a random moment, I'm like, woof, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be today.
I love that.
And I do take note. So, and I know you do that too with yours.
Yes.
So yes, that's just an easy, you see it, you know, you're on the right path.
Right.
It's a cheerleader moment.
Exactly.
Rah, rah,
exactly.
Rah, keep going.
And I know like Nick does that. Like my husband does that with like cardinals too. You know, when he sees a cardinal, like he feels like, okay, like he's on the right path.
Yeah.
I think people do tend to do that. I've done that in the past. Like you mentioned your sister with ladybugs, but the same with me. Every time I see a ladybug, I feel like lucky and supported and that like things are exactly where they're supposed to be.
And I think that really kind of connects to our next one, which is reminding us that we're connected to spirit, which I know you have a deep, deep connection to this one.
Right. Well, this is one where, you know, I mentioned the deer with my grandma, but like deers go far beyond that with me, where I feel like it's not only a sign from a loved one, but also a sign from the universe. And one of the things that I think is like one of the most profound things that ever happened to me is right after I had Van. And Van was, you know, he is and was such a blessing. And I was so happy. And it was like one of like the most joyous times like of my life, where I just had this baby and I had my twins who were sick, and I had this newborn baby. And he was just so awesome. And I came home from the hospital and looked out in my backyard. And in the middle of my backyard was a baby deer laying like a lamb. In like the middle of like my yard is like basically a retention pond, so it goes pretty far before there's woods. But in the middle of this like retention pond, which basically looks like a field, was a little baby deer laying there. And I took pictures and I called in my whole family, and it was such a sign. Even that moment, this is years before we did a podcast, years before I even had like an epiphany of like spirit. Right. But even at that time, I was like, oh my God, this is such a sign that like Van is meant to be here. Like he's so supported. The universe is here with this little adorable baby deer. And of course, I love him. I'm like, where's its mom? Is it okay? But then it was okay, and it went away, and it was like it wasn't hurt. It was just laying there like a beautiful little piece of the universe, like saying hello. I felt beyond connected. And then fast forward a couple years later, it was October, and it was actually kind of a nice day in October. And we were outside playing because it can be cold. I was outside playing with the kids, and like Van was probably 1 or 2, and you know the kids were a little bit older. And we look out, and in the same like area, retention pond, was a huge buck laying there, like in the middle of the pond. This is, I mean, a little like the field. And it was just like a buck with huge horns laying in the field. And we're like, what is going on? Again, it was like close enough to Christmas where the kids were like, oh my God, it's a reindeer. Christmas is coming. Santa's here. Like, this is wild. But it was so profound. And we're just like, what is happening? I've never seen bucks anyway. Like to see like a huge deer with huge horns is in itself a sight to be seen, but to see it laying down, like, and like when I say laying, it's like feet are down, but it's like its head is up, so it's not like head down, you know. But it was regal. Very regal. Regal is exactly the word. It was very regal. It was just so amazing, and it reminded me of the baby deer. But it was like, wow, this is wild. Again, took pictures. Fast forward to that night, Nick got a phone call, and his dad had been in the hospital, but was supposed to be going home, and had actually taken a fall and had got COVID while in the hospital from this fall and wasn't doing well. And we're like, oh my God. And very unexpectedly passed away that night. And it was so sad, so unexpected. But we both felt like that was his, like, that was a sign from the universe making us feel connected. And like, we didn't get to see him because it was during COVID. We were in, we were in Massachusetts. He was in Connecticut. We didn't have enough time to go down and see him. We wouldn't have been able to anyway, because he was in like a COVID ward where at that time you couldn't see people. And that 100%, and Nick believes it to this day too, that was like a message from the universe and from his dad, like watching over us and being there to support us.
It's
so
such
I
an
felt
amazing comfort.
It was a comfort. It was, and it was, but like, again, it's just like to this day, we're like, oh my God, that connectedness and that feeling like there's so much more. It was there. And that those animals like brought that to us.
I love that.
In 2 different ways. So
I think one of the potent things about that story is the circle of life with the young to the old in the exact moment. Like the buck doesn't work for the Van birth, but the baby, you know, the right age, the age that matched it, that feels like really.
And both of them laying, and to this day, I've never seen another animal like just lay
like they're lounging,
like lay like a lamb with their head up, like laying there in the middle, like safe, but like watching over.
So crazy.
It's just not even a way animals like you might see them eating or walking, but it was definitely a place of connection. That's how animals like made us feel connected to the universe.
They make you feel connected and supported. All right, the next one. Is similar. I guess all of the encounters. So we're calling it an unusual encounter with an animal that makes you take pause. Now, we kind of think this one is, well, it could be yours, but we find in this subcategory we've created on our own that it's an animal that you're not usually drawn to, or a moment that was like, whoa. And this would be out of nowhere, a deer jumps in front of your car, makes eye contact and looks at you, and deer isn't your animal.
Right.
And
It's
it
not
runs
me
away.
with the
It's
deer.
not you.
It's not me with the deer.
It's not you.
It's like,
but like, you know, a moment that makes you just like stop in your tracks and be like, this means something. And that is when you're supposed to be like, whoa, what's going on here? One of ours that we had jointly when we started talking about woo-woo on our walk runs, when we would do the show to ourselves before we created the show in our heads, we're running. And I think this was a running day.
It was
we
right.
saw
this was the weirdest
in the
thing.
middle of our main street, near the side of the street, one ferret carrying the dead body of its loved one across the street to safety.
Yeah. We literally like saw two ferrets in the middle of a busy enough street village, and one was carrying another, and we're like, didn't know what it was. At first, we're like, what is that? Like, what is going on? And then we realized it was a ferret, like, saving another ferret. First of all, we're like, ew, this is so gross. This is like not to be mean, but like this is like, this, like, ew, gross. Like, we were like, it was very uncomfortable. But then it was like beyond gross. It was like sad and like creepy and like weird. And then we started kind of dissecting it more. And like, we started getting a different like feeling about the whole encounter. The love that this little ferret had to try to like save this other ferret.
Yeah.
And like, it definitely, we haven't forgotten about it. It definitely gave us like pause. And I think now, like when we've reflected back on it, we've both taken it as one of those like signs that was reminding us that people need support.
Yeah.
And that there is like true love in the universe, right?
Right. Yeah, that was a weird one. And it's probably not the best example because we never really got to the bottom of it. But I think the point is to ask questions. So you like have an encounter, and it's like to say, why did I need to stop and have a moment with this animal? I mean, this one was a particularly strange example, but we've never forgotten it.
No, never.
One day I'm going to look back and figure it out, but nonetheless, So that's one.
That's
All right. So our next one on the list, I love because I have a good one that happened to me. And that's that an animal comes to warn you that something's about to happen, or something's about to happen good. It could be good or bad, but actually, the stag was a precursor to something to happen. That is one of those too. But I just have this strange day where in the same time period of my egret, when I was in a place that wasn't my home, looking for a home, and I thought I knew what I wanted. And that morning, I remember that there was a charged, strange energy in the air, and birds followed me. There was like a circling of birds, and it wasn't egrets. It was just random birds, any birds, like probably 5 different birds. And they were just like swirling around me when I went outside to bring the kids to the bus stop. And I went out again to do something like let Millie out, and the birds were swirling near me. And there was wind and birds. And I just went inside, and I'm like, the winds of change are coming. It was the thought in my head. And I was like, buckle up. Something's about to happen.
Was it a good feeling or a bad feeling? Or neither? You couldn't tell.
It was so energy charged that it was neither good nor bad. I felt a change is coming. Buckle up.
Okay.
I just felt it like as if the words were in my head, and these birds were like just circling in the strangest way anytime I went outside, almost like Brian's butterflies. But for me, they were birds. And that day was the day we found out we lost the house we wanted, that we thought was our house, and that we couldn't get it. And there was a whole bunch of crazy darkness around it. And that was also the day that my current house hit the market, and like a whole bunch of stuff that set me on an alignment of my path that I'm now on happened in one day. And not to bore you on the details, but there was like 5 things that happened within 24 hours that set me on a completely different life path, following the winds and the birds.
Wow.
So a sign something's about to happen.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I can feel that energy charge too.
Yeah.
That like winds of change, but with the birds and the fact that they were there too, and that they can like feel. Because I think like the animals can feel the energy and sense it, and then like come to like share that with you.
And now here's a little piece to all of the things we're saying. This is again how the animals weren't just doing that, but they gave me the comfort when the bad stuff happened.
Right.
So because I saw them, and because that was potent to me, when things started to go wrong, I kind of had our podcast feeling where I was like, all right, this is going wrong. I have a very strong sense. The birds are backing me up on it.
Yeah.
That the wrong thing's happening, so the right thing does.
Right.
And it did.
Right. It was like a support.
Yeah.
It's good.
All right.
All right. The next one is a way that we've tapped in this, we've talked about this, but using animals to get answers. So actually asking for a particular animal to give you a sign. So to give you the yes, to give you the no, to remind you're on the right path, to ask if you're on the wrong path. And this is one where I feel like I've had this before where I've asked for like a ladybug. And when I was in a certain situation and didn't get a ladybug, and then I was opening one of those blind bags, and it was a Lego, and it ended up being a Lego ladybug. Yeah. And so it's like a sign, but again, it was like the animal. I still felt like it was animal energy, because when you get a blind bag, like Lego ladybug figurine. Yeah. So I feel like that's another way that if you are intrigued by animals, you feel like they can be supportive, like you can also ask for them. So you don't always have to like wait and be like, oh, do I see one? What is my animal? What is my spirit animal? I don't have a connection since I was 3. Like, what could it be? Ask for one. Like, because I feel like we can tap into this too with going back to like the energy. So if you want to ask for like, hey, like I need more childlike enjoyment in my life, I'm going to ask for a unicorn energy. I'm going to ask for a unicorn animal to come support me, and they can come and support you through energy, through the universe, versus through like such a physical, like a ladybug figurine. Like I think you can really access the energies of animals.
That's so cool. And one of your points of that showing up in a Lego figurine is, let's be real clear. It doesn't need to be an animal that physically is living and breathing in front of you. It could literally be in a million forms, by the way. Right. It could be the cover of a book. Right. Like, let's say butterflies, your sign, and a book falls off the shelf or ends up in your lap that day and the butterflies on it. It could be in print. Yeah. It could be in a toy. We've often gotten our signs through our kids' cartoons when we're like, what? That sign just showed up, the Dodo cartoon we were watching. So that's another thing, is to look for those signs, especially when you ask for them. Right. Like, let it go. Don't because it didn't come in the animal itself. Right. If you're asking for a flamingo and you live in Boston, right, and you see the plastic toy flamingo in somebody's yard, the lawn, decor, right, that's your sign.
Well, and it was funny. I was talking to this lady recently, and she was telling me that she had gone to a dolphin basically healing, and she had tapped into the energy of the dolphin. And so it was basically like an experience, which I thought would be cool for us to do someday, but it was like dolphin energy. And what she wanted, she had asked for like a sign, she had asked for the help of this animal. And so she had gone, and like there was like someone like leading the retreat, but basically the dolphin, she could connect with the dolphin, and the dolphin is one of like a mammal that also feels, believes, like is like one of like the more intelligent animals in the world from like our perspective. And like she was saying that like it was so magical because she was able to like tap into their energy and get signs and get like the support of this dolphin, and she was carrying it, like she had it months ago, but she said she's still carrying with her the dolphin energy that she had asked for.
Very cool.
Which I think is neat. So cool. The next one on our list is animals coming to you in dreams. So I feel like this can come across in a lot of different ways. Like you can have sometimes like a dream with a snake and look up like the meaning of the dream. You could have like a shark if something like is coming to you. And like, again, these all can mean different things. I've had dreams. One very particular one that like resonates most with me was that actually my soulmate, again, animal Capri, came to me in a dream. Yeah. And like they say loved ones can visit you in dreams, but I think also animals can. And I had a dream after she had passed away where she came to me, and it was so vivid and so clear. And I was petting her and kissing her, and I could like feel her physically, even though it was in a dream. So in the dream state, I could feel her physically, which is another way that I was like, not only was she bringing me a message, but she was like reconfirming that she was more of like a soulmate to me from an animal perspective. So I think dreams, you've had like a really cool experience with dreams.
Yeah, I think there's two sides of it. That's like a true visitation of your soulmate animal in a dream, and that is a real truth. There are 2 egrets flying over right now.
Oh, they're for in
the
you,
window.
I can't see them.
There are 2 egrets.
I love it. I love it. That's so good.
Okay.
Meant to be.
Wow.
Real time animals.
Okay. Okay. All right. Bring me back. But thank you for the hello. All right.
Right path.
Okay. It's winter, by the way. We just saw 2 egrets. Or I did.
You did. It was good. But they're for us because there's 2.
You're facing a different direction. In any case, dreams. So you are talking about a visit.
Yes.
And absolutely, they come visit us in dreams, and when you know. We always say that. But also symbolically, they could come in dreams. Like you said, the first one, like a snake, and that could mean something. And like there's someone deceptive around you or something. One of mine is that I had a dream that I've never been able to let go of. And it was that I was in a huge atrium, and there was a white peacock. And it was flying and came and rested on my shoulder. And I was one with the peacock, and it was one with me. I felt the most beautiful comfort of being home, of being seen, of feeling love. It feels so good to even think about it right now that I have the goosebumps. It's so silly. I don't know where this came from. I've never heard about it. But I have this, every once in a while, I think about this sweet, sweet peacock that I love in a way that I like love my dogs I've owned. I've never met a white peacock, by the way. I don't even have them as a sign. So this was really obscure. But this white peacock in the dream, there was such a kinship to it. It was wild. I don't even know what it means to this moment, but I can't, it makes me take pause. It makes me think about it. Very specifically white.
Well, and
white
it has
peacock.
to be one of your spirit guides.
It must
because
be.
Otherwise you would have forgotten. Because I feel like dreams are so fleeting unless they're really meant to like give you a message. Because even when we were trying to brainstorm for this particular example, I've had very vivid dreams about animals, like where an owl has come and this and that, but I can't even think of one because it may be a sign at that exact moment, but it's not like sticking with me forever. Whereas like my Capri dream sticks with me forever. I know exactly. I can still feel her. Like, and this white peacock, this happened to you a long time. This is not a recent dream. And you still think about it and know about it and feel it like it's like the peacock is resting on you right now.
I know. I literally looked at my shoulder when I told you the story, and like I could feel the presence of it. And I really don't know what it represents, but all I know is I have good vibes around it.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings us to our last one, which is funny. We kind of wanted to be, we're weirdos. We needed a list of 10 things, but we feel like there's one that's missing.
Yes.
So we're leaving number 10 as what we're going to learn. So let's talk about what we're going to do next week. According to you, what do you think we're about to go into? I don't know that we explained what we signed up for.
Okay, so we found a woman who will connect you with your spirit animal. And from our understanding, she taps into the universe and actually draws what sketches what your animal is, and then we'll share with you like their messages, their energy, hopefully why they've chosen, how they show up in your life. Like I pretty high expectations for her to like, to at least share what her process is and how she's able to differentiate, again, beyond just us thinking it's this or that. Like I'm hoping that she has some additional insight, as an expert who can do this. Right. So that's kind of the pretense of it. Right. Are you expecting more, thinking different?
No, I think that's exactly it. I think this woman in real time is going to sketch an animal, and then she's going to explain how it relates to us. I think this comes from a shamanic perspective, which is very specific to like a one animal like situation. Yes. So what I think is really interesting is our expectations. Like I obviously want to see an egret or a white peacock, and that would be great evidence. However, don't know. And I think what I'm trying to do, I'm saying it out loud and I don't believe it. I just want the egret and the peacock.
I know.
And you would want the deer or a ladybug. But we have to be open. What if she's introducing us to one our eyes haven't seen?
Here's what I think I'd go beyond that. Of course, we want what we want to validate. But I also think when she draws it, we will have an automatic feeling. If we feel like, oh, no, but I think if it's anything that we connect with, we will connect. Like, I think it might come through and we'll get a connection. I mean, if this is an animal that we chose, our soul chose before we were born to be, like, by our side as a guide, we're going to have to connect with it, right? Yeah. I mean, even if it's not the automatic egret or deer.
Let's be honest. If this is a mediumship, like if this... Right. If the practitioner's on.
If the practitioner's on. If the practitioner's on, which, of course, you guys, we'll report back the real deal. So we'll let you know. But if she's legit and it's on, then I think regardless of what animal it was, we're going to feel justified that this is the right thing.
I love what you just said. I think we'll know, even if it's a random animal that hasn't like been our thing. We're going to know. There'll be a knowing. And then if there's a complete disconnect, it was a waste of our money. Right. We will report back.
Right. And well, it's interesting too, because like there's a whole nother like layer of this that I'm hoping she can maybe touch on, like where the indigenous people of the world had totem animals and like where this like goes back thousands and thousands of years. And I'm thinking that's like something that I'm hoping she can educate us a little bit on. And then we can report back on that side of things. Totally. And so again, again, as always, cautiously optimistic.
Yes.
This is going to be great, but we will report back on what happens and see if we're going to add a number 10 to this list. And in the meantime, we want all of you to think about all the ways animals connect, show themselves, and can help guide you and support you in your life. Because there's nothing better than amazing animals that are in this world with us, connecting us.
Love it. We'll come back.
Hi.
We're back.
We are back. This week we did our spirit animal reading. So we went to a person who can channel your spirit animal.
Went to in Zoom.
Via Zoom. And this lady was really cool because she actually draws your animal. And we had no idea what we were getting into, right? We had done the spirit animal list and we were thinking we thought what we knew. And I think we had some ideas of what our spirit animal was going to be, but we have not revealed even to each other what we got or even talked about the experience. So we're going to go through what we learned. And
first of all, Krista went first and you signed up for an hour.
Yes.
And there's an option for 30 minutes. And I waited because mine was later in the week. And I said, just let me know if it was good or bad. Should I extend it to an hour? And all I got from you this week was extend to an hour.
And truth be told, we knew she was going to be drawing the animal, and we were very afraid to be watching someone draw an animal on Zoom for an hour.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my God, I'm like, I can't watch somebody draw an animal. And what it turned out to be was not that at all. The drawing took 3 minutes, and then the rest of the reading was
a true reading,
super interesting, and accessing the energy of the animal. So I'm going to let you guess it first. So we're going to post this, but I'm going to give you a little hint.
Okay.
And then you're going to see, I'm just going to show you the first thing that she started drawing. Okay. And you tell me what you think it is.
Oh my gosh, you thought you were getting a deer. So the
deer?
top of the head is already cute. It's a woodland animal of some sort, I think, and it looks like it's a baby deer.
Oh my God. So yes. So she started at the top
That's
with the
wild.
ears, and I started losing my effing mind. I'm like, oh my God, it's a deer.
It's about to happen.
It's a freaking deer. So she's drawing it and drawing it, and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe it. I'm like, I'm so connected. I'm so guided.
Yeah.
It's been a deer all along. And she's drawing it, and then like, look. The face kind of even still looks like a deer, right? And I'm like, oh, it's getting less like a deer.
Oh my God, is this a meerkat? What
no,
is this?
It's an effing kangaroo. It's a kangaroo. And and of course, and I have literally never thought of a kangaroo, have no connection to a kangaroo. It was like, oh my God, I have a freaking kangaroo. And at first I was like so disappointed because I went from the high of thinking I had a deer to like this kangaroo. And I was like, oh my God. And so, of course, I was like, oh my God, I got a kangaroo. And she was like, this is amazing. And so I was like, tell me more.
Yeah,
tell me more.
Give me something. Bring me back.
Right.
You lost me. Bring me back.
Bring me back. And she was like, I've done thousands of readings and I've only gotten a handful of kangaroos. And she's like, and I thought to myself like, oh, I wonder why. And so she was like, this is like a really, really like awesome spirit animal. And one of the things she said, which made me start feeling better, she's like, this is like a 9-foot tall kangaroo. She's like, the power that this animal has is amazing. And so I'm going to get into like some of like the stuff of like what she shared and like what common ones are and all that stuff, but I can't go any further until I know yours.
I know, but I'm still giggling. That's so out of left field. And you guys, I wish you could see how she just showed me on the piece of paper that as she was revealing it, there was like cute little ears that look like a deer that's alert. Anyway.
Well, it's funny because I told Jenny, so in the beginning of the reading, I was like super like, oh my God. And then, but by the end, I was like, this thing's got my back. I'm like, this is an awesome, awesome energy. And when we were just about to start recording, by the time I was done, I was like, I'm super into this animal.
Right.
Like I love that we picked each other. Like I'm into it. And so I was like, told Jenny, she's like, what, like, are you excited? I'm like, yeah, I love mine. It's awesome. And then she was like, she just told me, she's like, I'm so jealous that you like love yours. I'm like, well, I didn't. I'm like, it had to grow on me. So let's see.
This is so fascinating.
Should I like guess yours or something? Like I feel like I need like a game.
All right, go ahead and guess.
Do I get a hint or like a random?
Oh no, you don't. Just knee jerk. You're not gonna guess it. Is my hint.
I'm gonna guess a spider, and I have a reason why.
Oh God, I would really be upset if it was a spider.
Oh, that's funny. You know what? Just as a side comment, she was telling me that she gets nervous about drawing certain animals because people get upset, and I was kind of like, that's funny. And she's like, all animals have a very special like messaging and like hidden like spirits. So like, I don't know. I when she told me that, I was like less upset if it's like something bad, but
totally.
I'll tell you why.
I get it. All right. Well, this is hilarious. We had a very similar start to our reading then. Girlfriend, so she's writing with a white pencil on black paper, right? So it comes out as an animal beautifully sketched in white. She starts with gosh darn white wings.
Oh my.
So it's super. And then there starts to be a beak and I'm like, it's happening. It's an egret. It's happening.
Yeah.
I was so effing excited. And it wasn't an egret. It was an osprey, which I was like, oh, is this going to be like an egret? And that's kind of one of my side notes about how involved our ego gets. Because I was like, make it the egret.
Yeah.
Osprey's like an eagle. Totally different. Not a pretty bird.
I know an osprey.
Yeah. Okay. So, but lives by water. And so my immediate take was I went from like a super high of being like, oh my gosh, she's about to draw the egret.
Oh my God, it's so funny with the same
down.
shit.
And then my stomach dipped like osprey. What the F? And then I felt really like bad about myself. I'm like, am I superficial? Like I need a pretty one? Like I don't love this bird and it looks aggressive. Like wait, when I show you the picture, look how aggressive my bird is.
Oh my God, yeah, that's right. That's so interesting the way she draws them, right?
Yes, and it's,
we're gonna post them too.
We're gonna post. It's in flight.
You have 2 of them.
Well, I'll get to that.
Oh, interesting.
And so, anywho, so my stomach dipped, and I was like, I've never seen an osprey. Don't care about osprey. This looks mean. This bird looks like aggressive.
Yeah, it does look, yeah.
And then I have to say, then my energy went way back up. As soon as she got into the reading, everything made sense.
Yeah.
And what was so cool, and this was my knee jerk of just readings in particular, is how interesting our egos play into it. This has happened with psychics and other readings.
Yes.
Where we can't go in with our ego mind of being like, I want this to be something, because we're not going to learn.
Right.
And the idea is always to, high vibe and to expand. And how are we expanding if you got a deer and I got an egret?
Right.
Well, it would be cool. But at the same time, and we're going to get into this reading was way different, and this animal's different than our list.
Yes.
This is a different kind of animal. What I took from it is a spirit guide that made a contract with us that's more of a spirit energy and takes on the symbolism of an animal versus being a physical animal in this world. It's from the other world.
Right.
It's a higher dimension animal energy.
Yes.
Not walking the earth with us, but can show up.
Right, and it has the specific energy of the animal.
Yeah.
And what I found from it is that you and this energy animal, the spirit animal, make a soul contract before you're born. Okay. And this is your main spirit animal. You have one main one that you pick before, this is from her, before you're born. You make a contract to stick with each other through this lifetime because their energy will help you and like support you in your growth. And that it is very specific just to you. And so one of the things that I was like trying to understand is like, well, if it's not common, how do these energies come through? And is it specific to me? Like this is like a very specific kangaroo. And she said, yes, even if she was to draw a kangaroo for somebody else, it would be a different.
It could even have different features.
Yeah, it'd be different. So it's just and she said, I actually asked her, she said mine was so uncommon. I asked her what the most common were. You want to guess what you think the most common main spirit animals are that come down for people?
I do. Well, one of them I would say is an owl.
It wasn't. She only gave me 2, but I feel like there's a bird vibe for sure.
Yeah.
In there is, because one of them is a bird.
Owl, eagle, cardinal, sparrow,
raven.
Oh,
interesting, right?
Okay, you want to know what's interesting? On Instagram, one of our friends that as a listener said that raven was theirs.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, it's one of the most common. Okay. I guess has a very specific energy of seeing and feeling and protecting. And
I like that.
Yeah, it was really
so. People with ravens are super protected.
Yeah, well, it's a protective energy.
Okay,
and she didn't give me too much. I didn't go too deep, but that's kind of what she said. And then the other one that's the most common is one that you could probably guess too. It's it's a mammal. It's like a land animal, but it's
like a jaguar, tiger, lion.
It's not a cat animal.
Okay. Elephant?
Yes. Oh, nice job. High five. Yes, it's an elephant.
Yeah.
And she said that's another very common one. And I was like, so if you have an elephant, does that mean that just everyone has this elephant? She's like, no, each elephant is individual to the person. So you'd have your own animal elephant energy. And she said what's common about elephants, or not common, but what's so cool about elephants is they're very caring. They're very prescriptive. They're very like intuitive, and they're like, you know, they're like of the earth. They're grounded. They're heavy. So elephants and ravens were the two most common. But let's talk a little bit more about
yours.
Ours. Yeah, both of ours.
I know that you ended up over time being excited about it.
I was very excited.
So let's hear about your animal. Like, what does it represent in your life? That's the big part, right?
Originally, when she was drawing it, I was like thinking like, oh, this kangaroo, and I tend to genderize animals. Like, I think dogs are boys. I think cats are girls. And so in my head, a kangaroo was like a boy. But she was so quick to be like, she, this kangaroo. She said she is so powerful. She is extremely spiritual. She is like 9 feet tall. And she's like, she is graceful and she is vital. And she like has vitality. And one of the things she said about it is like, if you picture a kangaroo and like the back like legs of a kangaroo, how strong they are. She's like, she is here to propel you forward. And she's
totally
like,
get that visual.
and she's like, you probably have thought like in your life, in any situation, she's like, they're not just like, she said, they're not like cows, where cows are, there's a bunch of like cows, she's like, not to make it like a bad thing. She's like, but kangaroos are different. She's like, I bet you even stood out when you were like in kindergarten. And I'm like, oh, I did. You know, I've always felt like, yeah. She's like, and not in like a, not because you were loud or not, but you had like a different vibe than like everyone else. And she's like, and that's her energy. And she was basically like, this animal like propels you forward in like chunks. She's like, so in chunks of your life, you bounce forward. So she's like, whereas people, and that's what she said about the elephant, whereas people like methodically move forward, the elephant, like you're moving forward and like you're, and like in a very like slow and steady wins the race. Or like she said, like turtle energy pulls you forward because they use their front legs and they're getting pulled forward. She's like,
this has an energy of propelling.
You spring forward. She's like, throughout your life, you've had chunks of time in your life that you are like in these things and you jump like leaps and bounds forward.
This feels fitting for you.
Isn't it? And I thought about that in my life in general. Like I've always had like things are status quo, then I bounce and do big things and bounce again and do big things. And so she was like, she's like, you're like very like, she's like, you don't mind being different, like you are different, it's different and it's here to protect you. She also said that it's like, she's never, I asked her, like, has this always been my spirit animal? And she said, she's never been with you before. This is your first lifetime together.
Wow.
Which is cool.
That's
and I'm
really
like,
cool.
I wonder why, like, why did she pick this lifetime? And she's like, in your last life, she's like, you had such a, like, your bucket was so filled with rocks, like you had so much. Like, she's like, she needed to help you propel forward and use what you've learned in your past lives in this life.
Wow, that hits.
Right?
That feels right for you.
Right. So tell me about your like raven while I'm looking through my notes.
I'm not a raven. I'm an
osprey.
osprey.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I got a raven in my head.
I ain't no typical raven. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God, sorry.
All right, no, it's an osprey.
Okay.
My osprey. So like I said, I was like, all right, not like totally I want a pretty one or one that you could like. That's why I feel like a kangaroo's cute. Like you could ask for that sign now, and like it would be pretty cool to see a kangaroo in something.
I see. It's funny. I think of kangaroos as like not cute, as like kind of like mean. Like you see kangaroo things, like you know, and they're kind of like they're tough and like, but there is a tough energy to them. There is like a.
But you are tough.
Yeah, and there is that. But I'm like, I don't even think of them as necessarily cute, but I do see osprey all the time here where we live.
I've never noticed them.
I've noticed them all the time.
Can you point one out to
I will
me?
point them. I see them all the time, and I actually think of it as one of my signs because I see them so often. They're constantly like they're in my yard. They're on like telephone poles. They sit on the top of telephone poles all the time, and they're beautiful. I don't think they're ugly. I actually think they're beautiful.
Well,
birds.
you just saw my picture. My picture is aggressive.
Yeah, and it is interesting how she draws a specific.
Yeah.
So tell me what.
Okay, so mine's in flight. So that's notable. So first of all, I guess she hit something. I literally, but in our before part of this episode, talked about birds, multiple different birds, right?
Yeah,
I'm a bird person.
You are, yeah.
So I guess that's like pretty cool.
It is cool.
And like the wings, geez, the wings I loved.
And I guess I'm a wooded animal, like you said, because I thought it was a deer when she was drawing it. So I guess we're on the same like
You're
family.
a land, but that's interesting. Ooh, that's a question. Does it make a difference? Land, air, the type of animal, I wonder. But so once she started digging into the osprey, I was like, oh my God, I get it. It's a super powerful female. The wings are notable. I have a lot of movement in my life. She goes, you are not about every day of the world. She goes, you are not a PTA mom. She goes, you are not a person who gets involved. It's not because you don't care. She's like, you see things from the sky, from big picture over many lifetimes, which is so true of me.
Yeah.
And so she said, I'm not in social circles. I'm a very like, outside of like, I'm not a social person. I am an avoidant attachment. She said, this bird is here to move me forward spiritually.
Ooh,
She's like,
that.
this is a huge signifier of this lifetime being personal growth and on my spiritual path. She said this was like all about me getting close to spirit.
Ooh, I love that.
And then she was saying that the reason she drew it in the air was it was literally the osprey about to go dive into the water to get the fish. She said, when you focus in on your manifestation, you are a manifester. If you want that fish, when your eye clocks it, you're going to get it, which is pretty clear. But she said one of my biggest issues is to get the clarity. But once I get it, it's happening, which feels super duper authentic.
Yeah.
She said I have spiritual creativity. Anyway, so just on the animal front, when she started to say that, I thought all of these things, I was like, all right, I'm starting to love my osprey.
Yeah, that's how I felt too.
And
exactly.
being where we live at the water, what's interesting that you see them, I just don't think I've identified. I don't think I know that the difference between that and a falcon and a smaller, bird of prey.
Yeah.
So, and she said it was notable that it was a bird of prey on top of the food chain on like in a water area. And I don't know what that means. But in any case, the other notable was, and it's been driving me nuts since the reading that I didn't ask more, is she said they mate for life. And she drew, and you asked this question, she drew a second bird. She said that's notable, but it was off in the distance. So my personal take after is that the guidance of kind of another soul. Or it's Brian.
Interesting. Yeah.
So there's two. So in my actual picture, it's notable, right?
So that you have like a soulmate on Earth with you. Is that what you're taking it as?
Didn't say on Earth.
Oh, like in like,
There's-
or like a.
There's just a second bird in my picture, and she said they mate for life. And I keep kicking myself that later I didn't ask about it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
so that's my bird. And when we got into like the original characteristics, also that it lives near water.
Yep.
I cannot survive without water. She literally was like, you cannot live somewhere where water isn't nearby.
Yeah.
So I felt that was really specific, right?
Yeah.
So
you've gotten that before from like Lemurian readings too.
I
that,
have
like, you're
too.
like from like
I
the
have
water
too.
world.
And if I don't know how deep we go because it's an hour where that was cool. So like just to start, she really got into what your animal is. We got it revealed within the first 5 minutes. Then we talked about kind of the generic animal traits that related to us, and I think she sucked us in with those.
Yeah,
the
totally.
animal traits.
Well, they were so on
then
point.
made sense. And then she went on, and I'm guessing it's the same, to really get in a reading. And the reading became from there a personal reading about my life. And I would say this lady nailed it.
Yeah, mine is.
She was amazing. So in retrospect, even though it wasn't what my ego asked for an animal, I ended up really buying into, all right, she's presented new information to me today, but she got the rest of my life, my personality right.
She was amazing. Yeah, no, and what I liked is when she went into this reading, she was, in mine anyway, accessing, like asking my spirit animal for this information and accessing her energy to like share that. And like to say like, hey, like let me ask her. If I asked a question, she's like, let me ask her, let me see what she says. So I thought that was interesting that like it's another like guide on your team who's there. So I mean, I even got information on like my kids. I got information on like Nick. So it was like a really in-depth reading.
That's cool.
One of the like coolest things that happened actually in mine, which again made me love this kangaroo the most. And I did name mine because she said to me, she's like, they're ancient energy, they're like a spirit guide, and they don't have like they have like hieroglyphic names, but she's like, she said mine would like want a name. So anything that comes to you is like the name, and so that I can access her more. Because I was like, how do I access her? How do I know if she's here? And she's like, give her a name and like talk to her, ask her for things, and like,
ooh, I love that.
Yeah, so.
What's the name?
So I named her Kanga because she's a kangaroo, so it's not super like original, but it kept coming to me, and I'm like, oh, it's a kangaroo. And I did think too, you know how you said like you're of the water. I was wondering, I'm like, is this like in Australia pretty common? And she said no, you know, because I'm like, I was like, maybe I'm like, is this just not common because I'm here? And she's like, no, it's just not a common spirit animal, even though they're common in Australia, it's not. So mine didn't become anything about how they show up here, but this made me feel like this is probably why I fell in love with her the most. So it's a kangaroo. It's a 9-foot kangaroo. It's huge energy. It's like very like jumping me forward and spiritual and growth in this life and taking like my past lives and like propelling me forward as well. But
a kangaroo has a pouch. And so she's like, she's showing me her pouch right now. And she's showing me her pouch where there's a Joey. And you know what my kanga told me? And she's like, her pouch is empty. And what she wants you to know is that a kangaroo is still vibrant, amazing, relevant, and powerful without having a baby in her pouch. And I literally started crying.
Oh,
I
honey,
was like, can you even,
stop it
for me,
right
with
now.
all of like my
No,
full circle,
no,
like baby
no,
stuff.
no.
And you know what else she said to me? She's like, you are still all of these things.
I can't.
Without a baby.
Okay,
and she was like, and she said, and the woman's like, but you have children. She's like, but you have children. I'm like, I do. I have 3. And I'm like, this makes a lot of sense of what I told her. I'm like, I can't even go into it. I'm like, but I'm like crying. And she's like, I'm like, I've had loss around babies. I've had like it's an obsession around, like it's been in my mind a lot. She's like, that's what she wants you to know. And she said, and this is another thing that she said, is that as much as being a mother is so part of this lifetime and this journey, she's like, so is your work. She's like, you are equally mother as you are like career and how important your career is to you. And she's like, you have a really good career now. And I'm like, yeah, I do. And she's like, that's only going to get bigger and better. And it's going to become, she's like, I'm seeing it's going to become like softer and more like spiritual. She's like, I don't know what that means, but I was like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God.
I love it.
I'm like, but she's like, but it's going to be even bigger than it is now, but in like a different way, in a more feminine and a more connected way.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, what you're doing right now and what you've done, she's like, it's been one of the propelling things in your life. And she's like, and it's amazing. And she's like, but she wants you to know you're on the right track and like, you're going to jump again. And like and I've heard this like in other readings too, but with her saying it, with Kanga telling me this, she's like, the next propelling is like, another
huge.
Amazing.
That makes so much sense.
Is that crazy? But
everything
for her to say
that's
freaking
I can't.
Joey, like you're still vibrant and amazing and powerful and relevant.
No,
I literally wrote it down word for word and started crying. I'm like,
I bet you did.
Like that message.
It's such a soul message. So you want to know what? Like even pulling it.
She said, "Give yourself a break." That's what else she said. To give yourself a break.
You do need to do that. But one thing that I feel like the evidence of all of our episodes, of all of the things we've gone on, it'll never not blow my mind that when we go to these readings, we have such separate storylines that we hear over and over again from different practitioners because we're Zooming across the world. They don't even know anything about us. Obviously, we haven't made it with our podcast to get to the point where they... And by the way, this is really important to note. We don't tell any of these people we have a podcast.
No.
And they have no idea. We email from our own work account, so they have no idea. But what I can't get over and over again, and I could never understand how much we're telling you guys that you don't want to keep hearing about our life, or how much you like to hear the evidence with us of your story is the story of children. Your story, and I love the incorporation of career because that's a big, huge part of you. Likewise, like my story keeps being the same. Like she told me, this is a transformational lifetime.
You've heard that over and over again.
And every freaking reading, and every reading I hear how I'm like kind of solitary and I don't have huge social circles, and it was about the me, not the we, this life, not in a superficial way. I'm here to profoundly understand self and spirit. And I get it over and over. We get different messages, but they're on repeat every time.
Yeah.
So to me, there's some sort of truth that these people, when we have the right people, are tapping into something, and it's just too big and too repeated to not be true.
Yes.
At this point.
Yes.
So I don't know. We have so much more we learned.
I think like overall, I thought it was amazing, and I loved how she jumped from our spirit animals, used them to like give us a guide. And one of the things I had asked was like, how do I like tap into her more? How do I even know if she's there? Because, I've never had a connection to a kangaroo. I've never felt that, And she said one of the things is that when I feel like vibrant, full energy, it's like how you would feel if you have a Maserati parked in your driveway. You feel like, okay, I've got this big thing with me. Like when you feel that kind of energy versus if you like are like doom and gloom or bummed. Like she's not like, you're not tapping into her when you're in that vibe, but when you're in that confident, full vibe, that's when you know she's with you. And so it's like when you can like feel the energy of your animal, which I'm sure with yours has like its own energy. So when you're feeling that, that's when you know that you're in the flow, you're on the right track, and she is like there, at least for me, to continue to propel me forward. So I thought that was neat. And she's like spirit animals is what she told me, is that they come to you in really a feeling, so that if you want to access or connect with your spirit animal, to just like close your eyes, meditate, which is becoming like a thing, which, we always hear meditate or get into like the present, like go for a walk and just think about them and like think about like the energy of her or her in general. And she'll like be there with you to support you and to guide you. And she did say, for me anyway, she was like, ask her for like little things. Ask her to help you find a parking spot. She's like, ask her for like, she's there. Like ask her, like if you're going somewhere, ask her to do great in a meeting. Like she'll support you in whatever way you need. Like that's what they're there for. And they want to be like, they want to help you more. Just like angels, or we talk about other guides, like they're part of your spirit team.
They're on your spirit team.
And so one of the things that she actually said specific to me, which I love, and I had to tell you, I'll tell you this to maybe wrap this one up, but you're obviously a huge meditator.
Right.
Yeah, and you're like meditating, you're always trying to get me to meditate and this and that, and like, and I try and I do, and I actually like it when I do it, but you know what she said to me? She was like, look, you don't need to meditate. Not like you shouldn't, like meditation is good. She's like, but your downloads come. She's like, that's part of like her energy too. She's like, you just know when you know, and you get hits all the time and you just know it to be real. She's like, so like keep believing that. And I thought of you, I was like, oh my God, I just got permission to not meditate.
You lucky duck.
I'm like, yes, she said everyone should. But like, it was interesting because I was like, I've always kind of felt like I just know, or I feel like I was like, she's like, you get downloads all the time that just come to you and you don't have to be in a meditative state. So I was like, sweet. But that was part of her energy too, the Kenga's energy.
I love it. Well, then I'm going to leave with my superpower too. She told me, I think you should be on the other side of doing readings.
Oh, I love that. You've heard that multiple times too.
And I have no idea what that would be. But
perfect.
She gave me career advice and all sorts of stuff, which is so cool. So in any case, I'd say I highly recommend this reading.
Yes.
And that's not what we're here to do, is promote the stuff. But you know we love animals. We've told you all the ways. We do have an additional entry on our list.
Yeah.
It's number 10, and it's a spirit guide animal.
Yeah, your soul contact
and it's
animal.
from energy, from source. It's a source energy spirit guide, not walking the earth. And they're guiding us. And that's the 10th one. That adds to our list. And I feel like we just learned something cool. You're listening to our stories often enough to know that this is now going to come up for us.
Yes.
We know it will.
Yes.
And now that we're paying attention. So we'll follow up with you over the course of the season too, if ospreys and kangaroos pop into our life and what additional messages they have. But super cool. What are your animals? We want to know more.
Yes, tell us. Tell us if you've ever gotten a reading. Tell us if you just have a feeling. We want to know more.
Yeah. Thanks for sticking with us.
Thanks all.
Like the show? We'd love your support. Right now, we're doing an awesome giveaway. Leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Screenshot the review and send it to hello@soguided.com or DM us on Instagram at SoGuidedPodcast. You'll be entered to win a basket of our favorite woo-woo goodies, crystals, cacao, and all the high-vibe goodies we love. Thank you for listening. We've loved being your spiritual travel guides and hope this made you feel more connected. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast player. Your reviews help us create the guide that you are looking for. We'd also love to hear your stories.
You can follow and share your experiences with us on Instagram at So Guided Podcast. Your story might just be our next weekly woo-woo. Join us again next week as we continue to dig deeper into the universe. And remember, stay curious, ask the questions. You are so guided.